Welcome to the Leading Lane podcast for real estate pros by real estate pros with your hosts, Ashley Frederick and Stephen Birch. If you're looking for an honest, authentic, and raw perspective, you found it.
All right, welcome back to our podcast, guys. I'm super excited. Today we have a fantastic guest. Her name is Neva Fisher. So she's joined us on the Leading Lane side. Neva and I have a relationship. She works under me under the brokerage, and we've known each other for quite some time. So Neva, super stoked to have you. And you just asked, what's the topic? And the topic is all about you, right? So one of the things that first off, before we jump into it, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself? Give us a little bit about you. Who are you? What's going on? Just a nice little overview so our listeners can know who we're listening to.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited, nervous, excited, all the things. Again, Neva Fisher, and I'm from Junction City, Kansas. I was a stay-at-home mom before I delve into real estate, but I did a little bit of social selling, nanny. I was kind of the jack of all trades, but real estate just always was something that interested me, especially with the flexibility, all the things. And I'm a big people person. So it was something that when I thought about doing, I actually just dove right into it. I took the class April 7th, took the test June 7th, and I just hit the ground running ever since.
And so that's been this year, June will be then 2 full years. Is that correct for you?
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
It feels like I've done so much, but yet I'm still so new, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. How many deals in your first year did you close?
11 deals.
That's amazing. I mean, like with the average from NAR is what, 4 units per for all of the members across the nation. And so at 11, like you're well over double of what the odds are for that. So cool. And then currently, like, where are you at with your production? Let's give a little bit of a timeline. You know, you didn't start with my brokerage. Let's be clear. It's not awkward. It's part of your journey, right? So you didn't start with our brokerage. Kind of tell us about that transition, what you learned there, and then what you've learned over the year, and then being able to switch over from there.
So I don't know if naive's the word, but coming from a smaller town, I went to the first brokerage that I found was familiar faces. And not that I didn't do my due diligence per se, but I was just like, yeah, I'm going to sell real estate and I got to sign up with somebody. So here's where I'm going. I didn't take the time to necessarily interview people. That was something that if I could go back and kind of look, like interview brokerages, see what was a really good fit. But I wanted to hit the ground running, and it was a smaller independent brokerage. Again, not really knowing the differences. All I knew is I wanted to help people buy and sell homes. So I hit the ground running with it. And it wasn't until probably about 5 or 6 months in to where I started to realize there's more to this, and I was missing something. I didn't quite know what it was because I hadn't transitioned all the way to full time. New agents, sometimes you're a little nervous to say like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make this full time, but I have no idea what I'm getting paid. I have no idea what this looks like. That's intimidating. So I continued to do some subbing with our local school district, but it was also a way to network and all the things. But it wasn't, like I said, 5 or 6 months in, I started to realize something was missing, but I didn't know enough about it to find out at that time what it was. But it was little things that I noticed that maybe weren't, I don't know, normal, such as like I couldn't print in my office. It was a little bit hard to get people into the office to have a space that I felt was comfortable. Those are just little things that started to kind of like get me thinking about where I was really headed with my business, especially if I wanted to turn it into full time. Mm-hmm. So I had a really great summer, and it still laid in the back of my head. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this full time. I want to make the most of it, but I got to get a business plan. And part of that business plan meant potentially changing up the game and go into a different brokerage that made me more efficient for my clients, and allowed me to pursue that full-time
Mm.
real estate goal that I had in mind.
Great.
So I had done quite a few deals with your brokerage and our brokerage, and I absolutely was just blown away by the transactions. I mean, from the
Mm.
efficiencies, I mean, just all the things. So we met, and I think I knew right then and there that's where I wanted to be. But in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, I'll give myself a couple months to transition. And you said to me, how about tomorrow? Let's start
Mhm.
tomorrow. And I was like, wait a minute, what? But that's exactly what I needed. Because if you're in the real estate business, especially if you're new, you need that guidance and you need that push sometimes, not
Mhm.
only to like in the direction of the real estate, but also for yourself. There can be a lot of self-doubt in this business in particular, or just entrepreneurship type of
Mhm.
businesses. And I needed that push. Um, there was lots of emotions that went with it, but when I made the switch, it's been the best thing for my business. And I again hit the ground running. Um, Stephen, if I can mention, we had a meeting together, and you said, I got to express some things I was struggling with, and that meant a lot to me. And I
Mhm.
know if you're a new agent or you're somebody coming in the business, you have to confront those struggles, and you have to be with somebody that's willing to hear you out and call you out. Because not
Mhm.
all struggles are, it's okay, it'll be okay. It's, hey, let's see what's going on. And you flat out told me, you are the product of what you did 90 days ago. And it blew my mind. I was like, oh my word.
Mhm.
Wow. And so from that moment, I treated each day, because in this business, nobody's telling you to clock in at 8. Nobody's telling you can leave at 5 and then you don't have to deal with it till Monday. It doesn't work like that. I treated this business that every day I would see the result of that from 90 days. And
Mhm.
what did that mean? What did that look like? And especially in the real estate business, um, you can have complete control, but also there are some things that are surprises. So I hit the ground running, and I have done more uh, from January to March of this year than I have done in my entire previous year and a half at the other
Okay.
brokerage. So just
When
incredible.
when was our conversation?
It
Do you
was
remember?
November 28th
Like you know this date like to the
to
T.
the
Yeah.
T, because
Yeah.
it changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my business. And that was the moment and the key that I don't think I'll ever forget that date. Yeah.
Right. And I remember not too long ago we pulled reports, and I didn't pull reports, but for this call, but you had like 8 different contracts at one time within the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So like I mean you are rocking out and rolling and definitely making it happen.
Yeah.
Ashley and I both came from previous brokers, like and I had to make sure that we all understand too that it's not that a previous broker was a bad thing. It's that
Correct.
was like you went there, you learned, and you knew
Yep.
that there was more out there that you were looking for. And so whatever that more was, guidance, support, money, camaraderie, a printer, or whatever it's going to be, people are going to you know automatically go ahead and seek that next step. Like that's just what we're naturally supposed to be doing. So it's not a
Yeah.
knock on anybody before. It's just here we are. You mastered where you were. You grew to the ceiling, and you knew that you needed to go to that next step. So,
For sure.
Ashley, you came to the broker fast track retreat that we had this last year, and that's right when Neva first started. What were some of your first impressions of Neva when you were here?
Uh,
I mean, the girls got some
uh-oh.
energy.
Yeah.
There's something about Neva's aura that you're just like automatically drawn to her.
Mhm.
So I think that we connected, very quickly, but you could just definitely tell that one, she was eager to talk to someone else about real estate, talk to someone that had been in real estate for quite some time. So we were able to, uh, you know, talk about things on my side of the world, what that looks like. I appreciated that too. And so I could just tell like how easy we connected, that I'm sure she does that with her clients. So that's why she probably does so great. But I think we were in a roundtable discussion and we kind of talked about recruiting and what that looked like. And like she like threw like legitimately like popped up out of her chair, like ran to the front of the room and was like, I'm taking over. Sorry, don't know if you had plans, but I got something to say. And I was like, this girl means business. It
When
was
I'm passionate, I'm
fantastic.
passionate. Yeah, no, and it was one of those two where because we were at a round table, I couldn't see everybody, and I really wanted to connect because that's just part of like that's who I am. And I think when you get asked the question about recruiting, or you get asked the question about um, just why did you switch or why did you change, loyalty kept popping up in my head, and just you said it perfectly, Stephen. I am so grateful for my previous brokerage. Every part of it was part of the journey. Super, super grateful. Um, you know, it's just there's a loyalty that people will almost like derail off of what their main goal is. And mine was to grow my business. And for me to be like, oh, this is all about me was hard because I'm such a loyal person. But at the end of the day, I had to do what was best for me, my business and my future and my family and all the things. And so it was nothing personal. But I know that there's others that maybe feel that way, where they feel there's a sense of loyalty, to anything, I guess. But it can be hard to say, hey, I'm going to step up and make this decision because it's going to better me. Especially if you're kind of a people pleaser, or, again, you feel super loyal, but I did it and I don't regret it at all.
I think you make a great point though, right? That's a hard thing, especially when you maybe started at a certain company and there is a loyalty, to either that franchise, that broker, your other coworkers, because right, that's who you spend the majority of your
Yep.
time with. But I agree with you that there are, I know of agents right now that they're just afraid of any fallout, or, that they are such loyal humans. But it is sad to me that they are then restricting themselves, because
Yeah.
there are potentials on the other side that they're not, entertaining, and they're kind of got their blinders on because they want to be loyal. But at the end of the day, we have to
Yeah.
do what is best for ourselves and for our families. And if that means moving on, you'd hope that people are, professional enough to understand that. And at the end of the day, we're still going to do business together. We live in small towns, and it's really just
Yep.
best to support one another.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is for really both of you. Both of you are very strong women, right? Very independent women, business oriented. And so, like, I would love to know some of your experiences that you've had in, from the either people brokerages that you've left or competitors, because you are loud, you are doing well. So, have you had any shade or hate, thrown your direction because you are strong, independent women?
Oh, what day don't
Um,
I? Sorry,
that's
but
the if
go for
I'm
it,
if
Neva.
I'm not in their mouths, I'm not doing it correctly, right? Like I, um, they got to
Yeah, there's
stay
some saying
employed.
like if
Haters
they're
got to
not
stay.
talking about you,
Yeah.
then
Right.
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 Well, and
And
the air can be thick sometimes. The air is a
mhm,
little bit thick sometimes. But, listen, I'm not here to necessarily compete with anybody. I'm just here to be the best version of myself and do real estate and do it well for my clients. So I don't have time to kind of entertain that. But yes, you can tell there's some thick air sometimes.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that, it I think it used to bother me, which we've talked about, because like I live with my heart on my sleeve, like no one can
Yeah.
deny that. So you just have to sometimes they'll learn over time to take it for what it's worth, right? And at the end of the day, really I've learned that when people say things, it's really a reflection of who they are and what their feelings are. But what I've really come to find out over the years is I used to be really quiet about, and I think I'm probably still somewhat quiet about accomplishments, but better than what I used to be. Um, but it's the people that I didn't realize that I was inspiring that
Yep.
have taken enough time to message me and say, thank you for being such an inspiration. I had like a guy, I think his daughter's like 7, and he's like, I just hope that she's just like you when she grows up. And it was kind of funny. So I think that over time I've realized that I do need to be loud because there are people that are struggling, and they need to have someone that like, if Ashley can do it, I can do it. Or if she's been through the struggles, I can do it. Or maybe I had breakfast with a friend yesterday and you could tell like things were just overwhelming on parts of her life. And she text messaged me afterwards and was like, today was such an inspiration. I'm so thankful for you. And it's just a matter of having conversations with people and being uplifting and right. We're all here together. So if we all work towards the momentum of moving forward, I mean, we should all benefit in the long run.
Right.
Yeah. And I can, oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go for it.
I can contest for that in the sense of oftentimes if you are somebody that is loud and bold, people want you to for you to dim your lights, dim your sound, your level to accommodate them. Nobody wants to be held accountable to raise themselves up. And, you can be just as loud as I am and there's room for everybody, right? But I will say that this popped in my head when you were talking about that, Ashley, that I had a person reach out to me that wanted to get into real estate. And I remember when I was getting into real estate, I asked current agents, hey, how did you get started? Where did you go? And everybody was they didn't want to share. It was almost like, oh, okay, I'll figure it out on my own. Thank you. I don't know if it was like it was going to be competition or what, but I found myself being the complete opposite when people reach out to me because I remember how it felt and I want to be open arms. There is room for all of us at the top. Mm-hmm. And I had a gal reach out to me because our brokerage puts on social media how we're doing, what's under contract, what's sold. And she reached out to me and said, hey, I just want to let you know that I've been watching and you are rocking it. And thank you so much for being an inspiration. You have now pushed me to want to complete and finish my license. And I said, with open arms, girlfriend, do it. I am here for you, all the things, because that's what I would have liked to have received. And so.
Well, and then Neva, like, as far as like the text message thing, like people are reaching out to you, just like with Ashley, but you shared a screenshot of a friend. It wasn't even a conversation between you and her. It was between you and Will, or excuse me, her and Will, or, whatever the dynamic was. Like you weren't even involved in that conversation. So tell us about that and how people are recognizing not only that you are thriving in business, but also in the personal life too.
Sure. So when I went to make the switch, I had the table talk with the hubby. Hey, this is what I want to do. This is what it could look like. And he was fully supportive and on board. But at the end of the day, I kind of knew that there was a little bit of stress and not doubt so much. He never doubted me, but like, okay, we're changing. This could look a little different. How, I don't know, but here we go. Notice things, but doesn't necessarily say them to me. And so it was nice when I got this text message from a friend who said, hey, I just want to let you know that Will stopped by last night to say hi. And he mentioned that you are just so happy and you finally found your people, and he can just tell that you're thriving, and it's made an impact on our relationship too. That I could sense that, but he wasn't as vocal. So when I got that text message from her, I probably had sore cheeks. I smiled so big just to know that he's having those conversations in a room that I'm not there is a lot. I would say for a guy in particular, right? So when he's having those conversations about how our family is doing so well and it was a good decision, and he hit it on the head. I had found my people. And so it was huge. And personal lives, when you're in real estate, there's a fine line with personal lives and business. And so, you want to be the realtor in the room. I got that from Ashley. You want to be the realtor in the room, but you also want to have your own life too. Like you want to be able to just kind of let the business side down as well. But he has just noticed how much happier I'm eager to get up every day, go to the office. I was a yoga pant wearer all the time doing no yoga. And now I'm getting up, getting dressed, getting at it. Like I've got goals to reach, and in 90 days, I'm going to see what today was like. So we're so happy, and it's just made a huge impact.
Good. That's awesome. Ashley, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think you make a really good point about like your at-home life, right? Because I don't think that people always think about when you are necessarily not happy or things aren't going well at work, what it really does do at home, not just, with a spouse, but maybe potentially with your kids. And it is interesting. I've had people that have moved companies, and it's almost like you have to go through a detox phase. Let's be honest, but you also need someone to
Yeah.
call you out on your shit. Like, hey, that might have been acceptable in the past, but like, we don't do that. We don't talk about people like that. Um, but it's amazing how like once you're happy that you can go home happy and like what that does when you have
Yes.
flourishing relationships. I mean, all around people see that as well. The other point I just wanted to make was when you talk about like the loudest in the room, right? And it's um cliche, if you will, but sometimes it's like the most powerful voice in the room, right? So when you can be the loudest in the room, a lot of times it's just with what you have to say as far as it's very direct. Like I'm maybe too direct sometimes. But by being the loudest in the room, I've also put myself in rooms that I would have never been in the past had I not spoken up, right? And I
Yeah.
find it beneficial now because I, get asked to go to certain board meetings or, hey, Ashley, we really need your input on something that we're thinking of doing. And if you were just quiet and sat in a corner and maybe didn't speak up or didn't, give your opinion, whether people agree with it or not, you might never be asked to do those opportunities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And for me, I definitely struggle with the here, I'll make sure that you both hear this because I've told this to both of you, but I struggle about posting on socials and the talking about all of these things that of accomplishments and whatnot, and telling my true story. And it's because of I'm a fear of rejection, let's be real. But at the end of the day, something I keep telling myself is if I hadn't made that post and I didn't inspire that one person that one time, where would
Yeah.
they be at? So who actually really does need to hear me? Yeah, there may be 99 people that don't want to hear from me, but that one person that truly wants to hear and see, like, I don't care as long as it's one person, I'm here for it. Like,
Yeah.
so I really, try to be louder. And, I think sometimes people, when we say loud, like we think that we're saying that you're going to walk into the room and be the one that wants to be in the center of attention every single time. Like, yes, that's somewhat loud. But when I say being loud, it's making sure that your poise is being noticed and you're being able to truly articulate what you are trying to convey to the other side, and making sure that you're being that true professional. And when you show up being that true professional, that automatically, in my opinion, puts you aside from a lot of different people that are in that room, because they're going to not want to be the professional or not want to be the person that's inspiring or even speak up, even if it is against the grain of what everybody else is saying. Like, you have to be able to speak to your core, and stick with your values, and making sure that as long as you know that you're aligned and what you're saying is true to your heart, that's all that matters, not what anybody else's opinions are. So,
Can I be vulnerable for a moment?
well, of
This is a safe
course.
space, right? um, I grew up hearing you think you're better than everybody. I heard that a lot growing up. Um, and you step into a business like this where your confidence, all the things, you have to do some deep work on yourself. And I can't tell you that Neva 6, 7 years ago would have been as good as I am now at what I do, because I didn't do the work. If I wouldn't have done the work on myself, I
Right.
grew up with lots of things in my head telling me I wasn't good enough and all that. So then I go and lo and behold, choose a profession that I throw myself in the lion's den sometimes, right? I am competing against other people that want to take on a business transaction saying they're the better one. And I'm saying over here, no, I am, which counteracts all that noise in the head of how bad it felt when people told me you think you're better than everybody else. I hope that made sense the way it came off. But there's a lot of self-help work, love, all that needs to be done when you're approaching, I think, this type of an industry now more than ever, especially because of social media. We see people in our face, they're beautiful, they've got all the flashy things, right? And so by me diving into a lot of work that I needed to heal myself on, it allowed me to be okay with being a bold person in the room, or because I'm so eager to help. That's truly, truly my mission, to help people. And so I think that comes across because my heart can come across more too. It doesn't look so much as like she's bragging or showing off, because I've done the work. I hope if that makes sense when I'm
Yeah,
coming
no,
across.
I totally tracking. And What people used to say, and don't, like, when I say like it doesn't bother me, there are things that most definitely get under my skin. There's no way that I can sit here and say nothing, gets under my skin. That's not true. But I know specifically, and it just so happens to be your previous brokerage, that there was an instance that I was posting about like how well we've done through the entire year and our progression of growth. And, when people are responding on your stuff, like sometimes they're not the most coming from a compassionate place. They're maybe being a little bit vindictive. And,
Yeah.
I was told that I need to be humbled, that I need to humble myself. And, like that really bothered me. And, me saying successes. And the funny thing is, like in all of this is, I'm not a non-competing broker. So meaning I don't sell. So when I'm sharing mittens, when I'm sharing, successes, about how many, transactions we've closed within the year, those are truly not my transactions that I personally close. Those are my agents. So I'm celebrating my agents. And what really was happening, looking at it, is that they were trying to take the light away from me. They're trying to suppress me.
Yeah.
They don't want me to be able to enjoy, and, because in my opinion, like they're not happy in what they're going on. So they're going to much, point fingers, versus trying to clap and celebrate. Like it's just mind boggling to me on how much people, try to throw that shade. But Neva, you're absolutely correct. Like if I did not work on myself in the last 3-4 years, really focusing on growth myself professionally, personally, in my heart and in my brain, like in my soul, like I would not be strong and confident. Like there are still times that I struggle with that, but I don't care anymore certain people of their opinions, because they've shown their true colors. And once they've shown their true colors, this is what I've learned, at least once they show you their true colors, then believe them. That's truly how they are.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
just because they can go to church on Sunday and go to mass, and then the next day that everything's all okay, like I don't believe that's how that works. Like I believe in providing value, doing the best for myself, and helping the people that are around me with like-minded individuals, and making sure that everybody's succeeding. Like we
Yeah.
all have a place somewhere, and we don't have to beat each other down whatsoever. So
No.
Yeah.
um Neva, you talked about like providing value and helping people, and
Yeah.
we've already established that you've been in the industry for less than 2 years. One of the things that you've started here recently is an accountability group. I think you call it a power hour. Give us a little rundown on what that is, and because you're doing this, like, let's be clear, like you're doing this for people within our own company. You're not doing, right now you're not charging them to do it. Like we're looking to broaden this, but like you started this out of the kindness of your heart, because this is how much
Yeah.
you truly want to help people and encourage those. What is that about?
So when switching over to the brokerage, we have a big brokerage, which is awesome. I mean, that was one of the appealing things, is having a brokerage with multiple agents that you could collaborate with. But with that comes a lot of energies, a lot of different personalities. And I guess I'm always looking for a solution. I want to be a part of a solution, definitely not part of a problem or make anything worse. But, as the new person coming in, sometimes it's like, oh, who is she? What is she about? But also, I have this deep desire to just fix everybody, to make everybody the best version of themselves, because I remember being in a spot where I didn't feel good.
Mhm.
And so now that I've done all this, I want to share it with as many people as I can. And so I started to see the need for just daily habits and daily self work that will make your business flourish. Like if you set yourself up for success in the beginning of the day, because you ultimately are the one in charge of your day and how it's going to go, I just feel like ultimately the impact is your business will only get better. So I was doing it alone, but basically when we had our 90-day meeting, everything stems back to this 90-day meeting. But it was like, what can I do every day, literally, so that I can see in 90 days I have some accountability to it, right? Because yes, you want to take time off, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it was like I needed to create these really healthy daily habits that set me up for success. Well, what does that look like in this industry? There is not really much. Stephen, you talk a lot about in your earlier years of how you got started, the things you did that worked for you, and you're always open to sharing that. You can, we have other agents in the office that have been doing it for a long time, and they have great advice. But sometimes just as a new agent, you're like, where do I start? What do I do? How do I even get going? And it's truly just every day digging into these good daily habits that set you up. So I created this challenge for anybody in our office who wanted to join, whether you had been in it for a while or new, and you just wanted to get a switch up in energy, start new daily habits, just kind of give yourself a reset. So we meet twice a week at 5:30. I had a little bit of pushback at that, like, oh my gosh, that's too early. Well, yeah, nobody's going to be calling you. No kids are pulling at your ankles. We're going to get up, put your robe on. You don't even have to have your video on. Just show up at 5:30, and it's task oriented. So the first 30 minutes we work on ourselves. We are currently working on daily triggers and patterns and cycles. We're working on those and just kind of diving in a little bit of self-help on that. And then we do some social media interaction, because I think it's important that we stay. If you are not on social media, what are you doing? You have to be involved in social media. But some people don't know where to start, and we can't assume that it's always older people. I mean, I've had younger agents in our office that are like, I just don't know where to start. And I'm like, you literally start talking on Facebook, sharing, just getting on there, connecting with people, right? And then at 6 o'clock, we start our daily work habits. So we'll dive into our emails, only answer the ones that are pertinent. We dive into our lead systems. We dive into our what houses are new, is anything changed, right? And at the end, we literally do a breathing exercise with a little bit of intentional energy setting, and then we're done. And I can't tell you how good it feels to have fellow agents alongside me on this, because we're all in the same brokerage. We're all working close together, and when we can connect like that, I don't know. I hope people are noticing and feeling the difference, but it's my goal for people, especially if you've been in this industry and you've hit a spot where you're like, man, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. I'm burnt out, or I don't know, with all these changes, I don't want to even go there unless you do. But with these changes coming up, we've got to do some work on the front end to put ourselves in good positions to tackle these hard conversations, this switch, this energy shift. So I have opened that up, and we'll be going. It's already open to anybody. So if anybody's interested, all they have to do is just reach out, and we'll get them added to the group.
How can they reach out to you?
If you reach out, go ahead and like the LeadingLane page, Facebook page, and then you can send a message there. I am on Facebook as well. If you want to send me a message, just Neva M. Fisher on Facebook. But if you go to the LeadingLane page and inquire there, we'll get you connected into the group. It's a Zoom call. Again, roll out of bed, come as you are. A coffee if you'd like, or not. Just come and join us and get your day started off on the right foot. And we have those hard conversations. Some of them have left a little bit teary-eyed, but I think it's important in this industry that we're having these conversations, because it is not for the faint of heart. And there's been times where I've had clients talk to me a certain way, and had I not done this work, I don't know that I would have been as strong or clear-minded to handle some of the ways that I've been talked to, or it can be stressful. Home buying is stressful, and selling. So
absolutely. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and pause, because we're going to go into another little session here. So we'll go ahead and thank everybody for listening to us today. Like Neva said, go like and subscribe over to our LeadingLane social media pages. And if you're interested, take her up on our Power Hour. Just challenge yourself. Right now, she's doing it complimentary. She's doing it out of the kindness of her heart. So take advantage of that. So reach out and stay tuned for the next podcast. Thanks for listening.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share with others. Stay connected for more genuine insights and strategies to boost your real estate career on Facebook, or check out our website. We'll see you next time.